Well, we had decided to build 40 for ourselves for use the summer of 2001, and it was actually the second 40 that we had built for ourselves. We built hull number 4, which we took to Alaska in 1999, and then the number 21 boat, which the plan was to take it up in 2001. And I had taken the boat up the coast and was actually in Seattle, and I think I was with Dennis Lawrence and with Phil Newton, and we were having dinner, and I had been kind of thinking about it a little bit, about doing something that would be useful from a PR standpoint, and then just to get out and really test the boat. And we started talking about it, and both the people I was having dinner with were so excited about it, and got us talking more and more about it. And that was really, at that point, was when we really openly started talking about it, taking that boat around the world.
Well, when I first heard about it, I actually thought it was a very cool idea and got real excited about it. I wasn't too surprised because we had always had plans of bringing a boat back from Taiwan on its own bottom, going up through the North Pacific there, and that never materialized. But when this thing came about, well, it sure made a lot of sense, and seemed like the time was right. We could all take the time to do it. We didn't have any problems with that. So yeah, I mean, the planning and all that was down to Jim, and he did his homework and researched all of the pilot charts and the time of year to do it, and assuming everything came together, it wasn't crazy at all.
Well, when I first heard about it, it didn't surprise me too much. Like Jeff said, we had there was a kind of a plan that had been kicking around for a number of years of bringing a boat back on a summer delivery, a northern route across the Pacific, and we had already done basically, if you strung together all the things we'd already done at that point, it was probably more dramatic than really what that trip represented. There have been many deliveries up and down the coast of California, which those can be pretty rough, down to Mexico. Several owners, or at least one owner, had circumnavigated by that time. Numerous Nordhavns had crossed oceans. So it wasn't really that outrageous.
We really wanted to get the boat around as quickly as we could, and we were targeting about 6 months, which it took us a little longer than that. If we would have fallen way behind, then we might have had to stop the boat and wait for the following season. So that was a concern. If there was any major breakdowns or big delays, we'd get behind the timing. And yeah, we were concerned about things going wrong. I mean, anything from a mechanical failure on the boat, which would have delayed us, disabled it. And plus, too, we made a decision to be completely transparent in the thing. We were providing real-time updates via the satellite phone into the internet, which really in 2001, at least from our perspective, was still kind of new, the internet. So we were pretty much updating our website at least every couple of days, and everything that went wrong, we reported. We didn't withhold any information. Unfortunately, there was really never anything that went significantly wrong to cause a delay or that would have been any kind of an embarrassment.
Well, the 9/11 news was, like Jim said, it took a little while to soak in, because there were so many things going on, with the country, and how it affected our plans and so forth. But within some days, we really started seeing that it was something that we had to consider. And I think that sort of exit ramp there in Singapore was what convinced me that we were okay to go, because that once we left Singapore and continued west, the options were starting to run out. Like Jim said, you could go around South Africa, but the shipping opportunities, the selling opportunities would really just pretty much be finished once we left Singapore.
Well, that first leg, we had already put, I think, almost 1,000 hours on that boat, between running it up to the Seattle area and then all the way up to Glacier Bay and all around southeast Alaska and then back. So the boat was pretty well shaken down, real comfortable with it. But pulling out of Dana Point, we had a big escort of other Nordhavns and boats that followed us out, and one by one the boats dropped off and we were kind of on our own. And as you head out towards San Clemente Island, I think we went around the west end of the island, you get out of the lee of the of Point Conception, and the seas get bigger, and you're always dealing with northwesterly winds, and it was November. So I can remember just a typical deal, getting rough. The wind was still coming out of the northwest, and the boat was as heavy as it was ever going to be. So, and we're bucking into a head sea, and I'm looking at the speed and the fuel consumption, and you could plot it out. We weren't going to make it, but you just got to have faith that as the boat gets lighter and the weather starts shifting around to the north and to the east, things will improve. But the first 7, 8, 9 days were pretty. I mean, it was fun. We had a ball, but that fuel consumption thing was always concerning us. I had Dave Harlow on board with me, and actually my son Eric was on board. And I'd go down in the engine room and I'd check the sight gauges, and I'd come back up and I'd say, Dave, you go down and check them, and I wouldn't tell him what my conclusion was, and he'd go down. Then we'd kind of compare notes, and But after about 7 or 8 days, we knew we started to build a little reserve of fuel. Boat was moving a little bit faster, and it was typical California Hawaii. It's probably the nicest passage. Once you get away from the coast and the wind starts shifting around and you're kind of moving south, it starts getting warmer. And about the 8th or 9th day, we were catching Dorado. The water temperature was up in the mid 70s or so, and air temperature was warm. So it's a beautiful, beautiful trip out to Hawaii, particularly when the south or when the northeasterly trade winds fill in behind you. You couldn't have a better passage.
Well, it was a great day when we arrived back in Dana Point. All of the crew, we gathered together, everybody that had been on board, everybody that could make it, and we went down and picked the boat up. It had been staged in, what was it, in Oceanside? Yeah, Oceanside. So we had most of the original group on board, and we were all together for the run up, and it was a great festive welcome. We had a party at the yacht club. The patrol boat was out there with fire hoses in the air, and it was a wonderful day. That tough little boat made it around the world, and with a good wash job and a cleanup, you could have put it in a boat show. In fact, we did put it in a boat show, and amazing that you could put that kind of mileage on the boat and essentially hose it off and give it a good vacuum, and you'd hardly know what it did. So we're very, very proud that day, very proud, and proud of all the people involved.
Yeah, there was numerous things that we had hoped we could accomplish. One was promotional benefit, which we got huge amount of promotional benefit. The pages of editorial, good positive editorial we got were approaching probably in excess of 100 pages. So if you calculate that out, what the value of that is, it was huge. But the other benefit was to take virtually every important person, or almost every person in the company, and put them on that boat and let them experience an offshore passage, and to live and breathe the boat for days on end. And I think that project managers, salespeople, Jeff is the designer of the boat. Crossing oceans, spending weeks on the boat, it makes a huge difference in how you perceive things, and how you, even as a worker, how you might install something, or how you view systems and so forth on the boat. So I think everybody got a huge amount of education out of the trip, which ultimately leads to improved boats, improved work, better understanding of the boat. So all real positive.
That boat, when it was built, was never. It wasn't like we built a special boat for that trip. It was just an ordinary boat when it was built, and bone stock in many ways. Certainly laminate schedule or strength or hull deck joint, or
and there wasn't a single modification to make that trip.
And so it came through perfectly, and illustrated that a bone stock boat has has what it takes to make a passage like that.
Yeah, I think it was just such a phenomenal success. I think in every respect, we were a little bit lucky and that really nothing negative happened on the trip, but you know, it was well planned and a good strong boat, and we did get into plenty of weather to test the boat. But I think a lot of people were impressed. In fact, I'm impressed when I think back at how we did it, that we basically put our money where our mouth is. I mean, we in public view took that little boat, the smallest model, and ran it around the world for everybody to witness, you know, the good and the bad. And people are constantly talking about how great their boat is, and you know, this and that. But we took that boat out, and we proved to the world that its capability. In fact, today it holds an actual record of the fastest circumnavigation of a production powerboat. And you know, I can't see a situation where someone's going to come along and take that away from us. But you know, we had people that were watching daily. I mean, they've got into a routine of turning on their computer and looking for the updates. And people, after the trip was over, when we stopped doing the updates and it had succeeded and the thing was done, I mean, people contacted us, and almost, you know, it was like the end of a great TV series that they've been watching. They were just really disappointed that they didn't have that to, you know, we had a lot of people watching that and rooting for us. So I think it made a huge difference in our, you know, in our recognition, and that of course was followed up again by the Nordhavn Atlantic Rally, which really was a similar deal, where the whole world viewed all these boats crossing the Atlantic and were privy to, you know, all the negative and positive things. So it was a promotional success. It was a terrific success from the standpoint of our staff, all our people, you know, learning more about the boat, and plus too, it was a great adventure. And what motivated me more than anything when we did that around the world trip is just the personal experience and the fun aspect. And I kind of justified it by, okay, we can get a bunch of good editorial, we can get a bunch of great promotion, we can you know, teach all of our employees you know, a lot about the boats and about, you know, the how they're operated and so forth. And but the fun part of it was a big motivator.
We should say there are a few adventures in the can that could jump out.
Yeah.
We've got there was talk of using our 75 sport fish on a kind of a long delivery back from Asia through the South Pacific, fishing along the way, and you know, illustrating that in blogs and, you know, web information, similar to what we did with the ATW. So that sits there as a possibility. The 120, which is pretty much too big to ship, that will be brought back from China on its own bottom. The first buyer is from Vancouver, so that will be an adventure. There is talk. One of our motor sailors is sitting in England right now, and there's talk of bringing that across the Atlantic. And that beautiful southern route, they say, is the finest sailing trip